Hi everyone, Carol Ortenberg here, editor of NOSH. We are at the Winter Fancy Food Show in San Francisco, and I'm joined by Dana Peck, who is the CEO and co-founder of Render and Pilot. Dana, thanks so much for being with us today.
Of course, thanks for coming by our booth.
So tell us, what is Render?
So Render is a food brand. We collaborate with renowned award-winning chefs across the country and take as inspiration some food that they're making in their restaurant or an idea that they have. And then through the creative collaboration with our team of chefs and product developers, we turn that into an entirely new food that somebody can package and enjoy in their own homes.
Sounds like a delicious job to have.
It's pretty great. Yeah, we get to work with some of the most talented culinary trendsetters in the world, these restaurant chefs, the types that get Michelin stars and James Beard awards. And we get to really package a bit of that experience that you have in that restaurant and let people have that anywhere they want.
Speaking of those chefs, what are some of the products you have here at the show this year?
Well, great question. So we launched our brand with a product called State Bird Crunch. We collaborated on it with Stuart Brioza and Nicole Krasinski, who are the chef owners of the Michelin-starred restaurant State Bird Provisions here in San Francisco. It is inspired by a quinoa dish they did in their restaurant, and what we did is work together to create this snack. So there are clusters of puffed quinoa, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, nuts and spices. And then we are launching right now 2 new lines, both beverages. We collaborated with Nick Bala and Courtney Burns on those. They were formerly the chefs of Bar Tartine here in San Francisco. They've gone on to different restaurant projects now. They're both sustainable beverages. One repurposes whey from cheese making. We blend that with herbs, fruit, spices, botanicals, and carbonate it. So it's really fruity, complex, interesting beverage. And then the other repurposes brine from pickle making. We blend that with vegetables and spices to make a really savory vegetal drink.
Now, you mentioned the experience of eating in these restaurants. These are restaurants that can have, months-long waiting lists. It seems like the consumer right now is really drawn to the idea of being able to experience State Bird Provisions wherever they are in the country, and maybe are never getting to venture to San Francisco at all.
No, absolutely. And State Bird Provisions is notorious for being one of the hardest reservations to get in San Francisco. And so we wanted to have that reach extend a bit, right? As did they. I mean, the restaurant chefs that we work with are just wellsprings of creativity. They have endless supplies of ideas. These are people who change their menus on a nightly basis, weekly basis, because they are just overflowing with brilliant culinary ideas, right? And there isn't that same feeling of trust and excitement in CPG, and we wanted to have some of that carryover. So for the chefs, it's awesome because they get to have another creative outlet that they don't ordinarily get to do, or bring food that they couldn't sell in their restaurants into a different channel.
So these chefs are endless fountains of ideas.
Yes.
Why can't they just start the brands by themselves? Why do they need Render, and what sort of hole did you find in the marketplace to address?
Sure. So there are some chefs, as we know, who have brought products out into market, rather. For many chefs, again, they have a lot of creative ideas and they like the notion of bringing them out, but really they don't have the time or energy or financial resources to do it. They're restaurant chefs. They are in a restaurant making food because that's their preferred way of doing it. And they're there 100 hours a week. So the notion that they're going to build a whole separate business on their own and run that is usually a too high barrier of entry for many of them. So what we did with Render was want to bring a model that really fosters the best part of that interaction, which was the creative collaboration. So allow chefs to be super creative, to work with our team. And so by building this model, chefs now have a way of collaborating, doing the part they want to do, the creative piece, but not having to deal with the rest of building a business, which would just never happen. So I think there's a lot of desire among chefs to be working on things outside their restaurant, but there's just not a lot of ability to do it.
And what's the difference between these products and, say, Rachel Ray putting her name on a set of pans, or Emerald sort of endorsing or doing a commercial for a product?
Yeah, great question. So we are not just slapping people's faces on pasta sauce jars here. And in fact, if you look at our products, they're all branded with Render on the front. And you actually have to turn over every package to learn about the chefs we collaborated with and the story behind each product, that origin story. This brand is really about that creative collaboration and making delicious food. We know and have worked with a lot of different brands out there whose brand mission is centered around a particular ingredient or maybe a particular diet. We hungered for a brand that was just about creative, delicious food. And so we want that to be what people associate with our brand. So it is about this collaboration. We are not simply plucking some piece of food out of a restaurant and slapping it in a jar or putting it in a bag. We're coming up with something entirely new. And that, because it is that creative collaboration, it's branded with our brand.
How are you able to select these flavors and taste profiles? And how much of a role are these chefs playing?
So chefs are the culinary trendsetters, not because they are thinking at all about culinary trends. They are doing that because they have incredible palates and incredible creative minds, and they are simply making whatever makes them most excited any given day. So that's the mindset that we're taking with Render. We are not doing market testing and consumer research to figure out what flavor our product should be. We are simply working collaboratively with the chefs to be like, what is the most interesting, exciting thing that you want to make today? And then we're using that and vetting that through our sophisticated knowledge of what goes into product development to figure out what's going to work the best. What can we maintain the soul and integrity of through the commercial scale-up process so that we can bring the best version of a particular product or flavor to market.
Is there the potential for these to be products that are sold anywhere and everywhere?
We want them to be products that are sold anywhere and everywhere. Our brand is crafted for people who want delicious food, period. We believe that's not a trend, not a fad, and that it's not geographically based. For both us and our chefs, we love for our products to be sold at a 7-Eleven someday, at a gas station. We don't think that there should be a premium price point entry for people to have good tasting food. We believe in democracy of food. Everybody should get great tasting products.
At NOSH, we're definitely on the same page, and I look forward to walking into a 7-Eleven one day and buying a bag of State Bird Crunch. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, no, thank you, and I look forward to that day as well.